shit!
Okay, Brad, this is what we're doing now. The Colts and Cowboys are out there building the Avengers, and you want to collect bargain bin Pokemon cards? You want to sign some guy nobody's ever heard of off a practice squad? That's your big move, huh? Do you know what happens when the entire fan base is sitting around refreshing their phones like it's Black Friday, waiting for anything from you? Huh, Bradley? Do ya? Do you know what happens when you let the moment pass? When you let the league party without you and you sign a player whose Madden rating is NA? Bradley Holmes!
You just made the list!
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Yeah. Welcome one. Welcome all, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the Lion Villain Report. That's right, where we don't sugarcoat a damn thing. I am the 313 villain. I am your host. I am the unwanted, the unfiltered, the unapologetic voice of the fan base that bleeds Honolulu blue. And in today's episode, we're going to dive into it even further. It seems to be the only thing anybody wants to talk about. I'm sorry, bad guy. It's what they do. Here we are. We're talking about the trade deadline and what the Lions didn't do. I waited yesterday. I waited all the way until 4 o'clock. I usually do the show in the morning, but I waited till 4 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I got to get it ready. I got to get ready for all of the big moves that Brad Holmes made. And he signed Jack Conley from the New England Patriots, the practice squad. And that's it. That's all the news I got. That's it. We waited, and that's what it was what it was right there. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to dive more into that loss. And I still think that the loss is being mischaracterized. I understand frustration towards Goff. I understand frustration towards John Morton and, Brad Holmes not making moves at the deadline. And I don't think it's that. We're going to talk about what that is on the continuation on this episode of the Lion Villain Report. This episode is brought to you by Fanatics.com. That's right. If you bleed Honolulu blue and you're rocking with the 313, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics, our official merch partner. That's right. We're talking Lions gear. We're talking Tigers gear. Oh my. Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh my. And whatever crew that you follow, that's right. You need to gear up like the real one. Go official. Click the link in the description or hit that pinned comment and use it. Save up to 25% off of your order. Every click supports this channel, the page, and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger. They do it better. Villain Squad don't do knockoffs. They do Fanatics. They do official. Get yours. Just crossed over 93,000 villains. That's right. Crossed over 93,000 villains. And we thank you for that. We're storming the castle of 100,000 followers, man. And I appreciate everybody that likes, comments, subscribes to the channel, and lets your voice be heard out there. Because it's faith, family, then football on this program. We put our faith first, then family, and then football. That way we don't change when the Lions lose. Don't let it change you. Use football. Spend some time with your family. Create some memories. Don't let football use you. It's that simple. And then we got the Macho Man Randy Savage, yeah, heading out to Washington, D.C., yeah. The 313 Villain Squad, yeah. The UDFA of Sports Podcasting, yeah. The Macho Man's gonna climb to the top of the Washington Stadium and is gonna drive his Macho Man elbow into the heart of Marcus Mariota. Yeah. That's right. Who's out there ready to talk some football today? Let's see who we got in the comments right there. Lion Bad Guy. There you go.
Say hello to my little friend.
The bad guy. The bad guy is here. He says, yay, the trade deadline is over. We can stop talking about it. And thank God, because Lord knows y'all will pick it up in March. I don't know who y'all is. I'm here by myself. Lion or bad guy, you must be talking to me. You act like I talk about trades all the time. I talk about it for a week. A week. And when there's big news out there in the national media. If they throw something out there national and they're talking about it, I'll talk about it for a little bit. But I don't go to try to talk about BS trades and the Myles Garrett and the Max Crosby stuff. I hit that while it's national and then I let it go. Good morning, villains. Good morning, Rick C.
You like that?
Good morning, Chad.
You like that?
Good morning, Mark.
You like that?
Good morning, Tyler.
You just made the list.
Good morning, Mark. Orlando.
You like that?
In the house. Dumb Brad Holmes 2.0.
You like that?
Good morning, Dwayne.
You just made the list.
So here we are. We are officially post trade deadline right here. And John in there. Good morning, John.
You like that?
I like to throw everybody in there. That's right. And Danny.
You like that?
I love it. Get those comments in there. I want to know that you're here. I like it when you watch. I do. I like lots of views. But I like it more when you get into the comments and you tell me good morning. It lets me know that you're alive. I try to acknowledge everybody.
Acknowledge me.
And that's right. I try to do that. But Brad didn't make any moves. He didn't make any moves. Is that a problem? Is that a problem that he didn't make any moves? Because I know to dumb Brad Holmes, obviously you don't like that he didn't make any moves. But why is that? Let's go over what moves were made. And you tell me which one that you wanted. There were like 11 total moves, but I'll go over some of the big ones right here. Sauce Gardner gets traded from the New York Jets to the Indianapolis Colts. The Jets received 2 first-round picks and wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. So what do you think about that? You got a wide receiver. I don't know where Adonai Mitchell was drafted, but he hasn't done much this year. So you got 2 first-round picks for that. Would you have paid 2 first-round picks to bring in Sauce Gardner? And it's an honest question. We'll get it out there, right? The second trade that was done was Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle, traded from the Jets to the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys sent a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. old Michigan Wolverine, to the Jets, would you have done that? Would you have paid a first and second round pick? And let's say, I guess we would say Talik Williams. Let's say Talik Williams. That's about the same. Would you have sent a first and second round pick and this year's first round pick? So essentially 2 first round picks and a second round pick for Quinnen Williams. Would you have done that? Because I'm trying to figure out how dumb Brad Holmes is here. Is Brad Holmes dumb for not making that move? Then Rashid Shaheed traded from the New Orleans Saints to Seattle Seahawks. Seattle traded a 4th and 5th round pick in 2026 for Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. Would you have done that? Do we need a wide receiver? Jacoby Myers was traded from the Las Vegas Raiders to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Raiders received a 4th and 6th round pick. Would you have done that? Do we need a wide receiver? Defensive end Tyron Shoyinka traded from the Jets to the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears sent a 2026 6th round pick and a 2026 7th round pick. Man, them Jets, I think they're going to have about 400 draft picks next year. The Jets doing the full-on fire sale from the Jets. Would you have done that? That actually looks more like a move that Brad Holmes would have made if he was going to make a move. Late round pick for a depth piece on the D-line. Would you have done that? What's up, Broski Bear?
You like that?
How you feeling about your trade? You didn't trade anything for it, so you got a nice little depth piece right there. Do you like that trade? Jair Alexander got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Phillips got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 3rd round pick. I mean, that's probably the biggest question right there. Should have Brad Holmes went in and undercut the Philadelphia Eagles and tried to get Jalen Phillips? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, there's a lot of talk out there. A lot of people are mad at Brad Holmes, and I'm not seeing anything on this trade deadline that is like Brad Holmes was just sitting on his hands and like he should have done any of these things. I mean, essentially, Dallas Cowboys traded away their best defensive player, a pass rusher, and Micah Parsons, got 2 first-round picks, and they traded those first-round picks and got Quinnen Williams. So you traded a defensive tackle for a defensive end. High end, there's nothing wrong with Quinnen Williams. He's a great player. You got it, and you got a badass right there. But you essentially you have a wash going on right there. Now, I respect the move that the Indianapolis Colts did. It may be a little too expensive for Sauce Gardner. You may say that. You could say that. But you could also say that they're all in with their good season with Daniel Jones. They needed a number 1 corner, and boy, did they ever go out and get one. But we got DJ Reed coming back. Terrion Arnold just came back. The backup cornerbacks seem to play pretty good in the absence, so we got depth there. So I didn't really see a need. I mean, would I have been upset if the Lions traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner? I don't know, probably a little bit. It's pretty expensive. You're abandoning. I mean, unless Terrion Arnold was in that trade. You know, because you're essentially just replacing a starter. I don't like that move for the Lions. Because at some point, you just got to really realize that Brad Holmes is he's believing in what he does. And not making a move is a move. If you believe in your guy, everybody said they want offensive line. I didn't see any offensive linemen on that list. I think Miami traded for an offensive line, paid like a 6th-round pick for an first rounder. That hasn't worked. I mean, if that's what you want to do, if you needed a move to happen, what was the move? Trey Hendrickson didn't move. Max Crosby didn't move. The only one I can really think of is the Howie Roseman move of getting Jalen Phillips. And that's okay. If you want to die on that hill and say, you know, they didn't get Jalen Phillips, so they're not going to win a Super Bowl now. But that's a myth. It's a myth that you win Super Bowls by trading. It doesn't work. It's proven not to work. Year after year after year after year, trading away all your assets for some big splash move at the trade deadline doesn't work. And that's been proven. And for some reason, we get it stuck in our head like it's this thing that works. I mean, even during the offseason, you know, you want to count the Packers in that? They traded 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons. Is that going to work? Is that going to be their Super Bowl? How did Micah Parsons help them out playing the Carolina Panthers? How come he didn't get 9 sacks like Reggie White? Because he's the next Reggie White, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, sure, if 19 teams all go all in, it worked for the Rams, huh? It did? Did it work for the Rams? They did make a trade for Matt Stafford. And it worked for the Rams, but they also brought in Von Miller. They also brought in Jalen Ramsey. So they didn't just make one big trade. They made many big trades. More than one trade. And they drafted well. So don't tell me to stop. You're full of shit. It doesn't work. How about all the people that made trades that it didn't work? You're only pointing out the Super Bowl winner. You're only pointing out the Super Bowl winner. What about all the teams that made big trades that didn't work? It's not going to work for one of these teams. Indianapolis, is it going to work for the Cowboys? Is it going to work for the Packers trading multiple first-round picks? They all can't win the Super Bowl. Make a big trade at the deadline. Everybody wins a Super Bowl. Everybody gets a Super Bowl because they made big trades. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's like you got to convince yourself, broski. Stop, Russ. It worked in 2021. 2021 was 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Oh, but then, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs wins 3 out of 4 by letting guys go and not making big trades, trading away guys. And they win the Super Bowl, but no, we're all silent now when you just go with draft and develop and it works for the for the Kansas City Chiefs multiple times. The New England Patriots never did that when they had Tom Brady. Some teams just go and sign guys in free agency and draft well. That also works. So, I mean, you can say whatever you want. I don't mind if you want to get on the side of Brad Holmes isn't going to win. Brad Holmes is dumb. I guess Brad Holmes is dumb. What did you want him to do? What do you want Brad Holmes to do? Broski, what's the move? What was the move? What did he miss out on? You tell me what the move is. It's easy just to sit on the sidelines and just say, that doesn't work. That didn't work. It won't work. Well, what's going to work? I don't know. I don't know anything that would work, but I know that didn't work. It's dumb. Dumb logic. It doesn't work. Sometimes, it doesn't work for most of the teams. It can't work for most of the teams because every team can't win the Super Bowl. Which one of those moves did the Lions need to make, broski? Or whoever's on the side of Brad Holmes is an idiot? Here. This isn't a point, broski. This is just bitching. Here's the point, Russ. Brad Holmes didn't go all in the offseason or the trade deadline. Russ, there's an entire league of players that you can go after. Which ones? Which ones, broski? Who do you get? You're just talking. You're just talking. And now you're calling them inbred? What move was it? Tell me. Sure, I'm willing to have a discussion here. But I'm looking at this. You got Jalen Phillips that go to the Eagles. Sauce Gardner traded for 2 first-round picks. Quinnen Williams goes for 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, essentially. Couple wide receivers. Jair Alexander. What move was it? What move did he miss out on? They didn't have any offensive linemen that were available. Why didn't Brad go get an offensive lineman? Because they don't. You know what happens when you don't, or you know what happens when you have good offensive linemen? You want to keep them. You don't trade them, which is more evidence. You didn't see a whole bunch of offensive linemen getting traded at the trade deadline, did you? We needed offensive linemen. They weren't there. The only one that I would accept as a answer, and I'm not even going to beat you up for it, is Jalen Phillips. Did Brad Holmes miss out by not going and get Jalen Phillips? That was the only possibility that we could have gotten. But I ask you, I'm throwing it out there for you. If you can put something into the comments that isn't just, he just messed up because he didn't do anything. You could have gotten the whole league worth of stuff. Well, who? How much does it cost? Who do we have to get rid of to bring that guy on the roster? Fred says that the Lions didn't have a third to offer Phillips. So a second? Should we have offered a second round pick and went and gotten Phillips? Is that what it is? Who? Do I have to be an owl up here, broski? You're not saying anything. You're not saying anything. Which left tackle? I just gave you everybody that got traded during the offseason. There were no left tackles available. None. No left tackles got traded. Try again. Man, they should have gotten Max Crosby. Man, they should have gotten Myles Garrett. Yeah, they should have. They should have went and gotten the best players that that other teams aren't willing to trade. Yeah, that's pretty smart, Broski. Typical Bear fans coming in. Yep. You got no answers. Who? You're making me sound like an owl because you're not saying anything. Honestly, it's like I expect it. I mean, it's cool from Broski because Broski's a rival fan. Broski's a rival fan, so I expect him to overanalyze. That's what his job is. He's supposed to come on here and get you all agitated. But what I don't understand is how you let Broski make it work on you. Like, I'm still waiting. I mean, here I am. Let me see if we got anything in here. Steve says that Jaden Phillips is injury prone. Okay. Mark Orlando says good O-line guys are hard to find. Let's see if we got anything. To everyone that thinks that we should have drafted a tackle in the edge, we already drafted a tackle from LSU. He's injured right now. He's from Egypt. Yeah. He'll be the greatest thing ever. I don't know. He may be coming back here pretty soon. Ahmed Hassanin. So Broski wants to put Brad Holmes on trial for not getting a left tackle because he thinks that they were a whole bunch of them available that all 32 teams missed on. Nobody got a left tackle. So 0 offensive linemen of any significance were traded. But Broski thinks that only Brad Holmes missed. People don't trade good offensive linemen, Broski. What are you going to get that somebody is willing to give you? The only offensive linemen that you could get, even on a possibility, are offensive linemen that the team that's trading them doesn't believe in. I'm not blindly defending him, Broski. I'm not blindly defending him. I'm offering you an opportunity to do anything other than troll right now. Offer me a suggestion of something that Brad Holmes missed on. Any player other than trolling, because all you're doing right now is trolling. Oh, you missed the window. 9 teams. I put a post up yesterday. Notable teams that did not make moves at the trade deadline. From Jeremy Reisman. Let's look at this. I just want you guys to be honest. That's all. I want you to be honest when you go out there. And you have to prove to me at this point that you're not just bitching. Now, like I said, I expect it from Broski. Broski's supposed to do that. That's his job. He's supposed to troll the Lions. That's the only reason he would come on to a Lions broadcast, is to troll us. So I expect it from Broski. But are you buying this? The Lions, Packers. I'll take the Packers off of that list. Packers don't, because they did trade 2 first-round picks. So pull the Packers off of that list. Lions, Vikings, Niners, Rams, Buccaneers, Panthers, Bills, Chiefs, Broncos. All of those guys aren't serious about winning the Super Bowl. None of those guys made moves. None of them will win the Super Bowl. None of those teams. I mean, since we're just putting everything into the basket of Brad Holmes did something or he didn't do something, since that's the only thing in there. So really, in order for you to be right, Broski, and this is not a big stretch here, if the Lions don't win the Super Bowl, then Brad Holmes is dumb. That's it. But a better question will be, to be a little bit more fair, since only 1 out of 32 teams wins the Super Bowl, let's use this list and ask this question. And this is a good question. Do you think that it's either going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Because the Philadelphia Eagles are the only one that made a trade that the Lions, you could argue that they should have made that trade. I'll put Jaden Phillips on that list. And I'll do it. That's okay. I'm not beyond criticizing Brad Holmes, but I need something to criticize him with. So Jalen Phillips is the only player that was traded that I believe that you could even try to make an argument that he's dumb for not trading for. So the question that I will ask with this is, will one of these teams win the Super Bowl, or will it be one of the big moves? So is the Super Bowl winner going to be on this list? And I'm pulling the Packers off of this list. Do not look at the Packers on this list. The Packers will be on the other list, which is the Packers made a big trade. The Indianapolis Colts traded away multiple firsts, and the Dallas Cowboys traded away multiple firsts. So it's either somebody on this list is going to win the Super Bowl that didn't make trades, or one of those other 3 teams that I just mentioned that did make a big trade. Does big moves guarantee you to be the Super Bowl winner? Because if one of those teams, Broski, if one of these teams right here wins the Super Bowl, then you're wrong. Minus the Packers. Minus the Packers can't be on that list because they traded for Micah Parsons, so they are on the big move list. They made a big move this offseason. Does big moves quantify Super Bowl wins? And you can make fun of me all you want, Broski. Make fun of me all you want for the who. You still haven't told me who. Is it Jalen Phillips? You think the Lions are not going to win the Super Bowl because they didn't trade for Jalen Phillips? You're going to say Quinnen Williams. We should have said we should have traded away Tyreek Williams, a first-round pick and a second-round pick, and we should have gotten Quinnen Williams. That's the move. That's the move you're going to die on the hill for, Broski. Okay, we'll see if the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl now. We'll have to see. If they don't win the Super Bowl, I'm going to come in here and tell you were wrong, Broski. Corey Patterson says, I feel like at some point you got to make a move. We went with our own for a few years and always end up going home. And your own just ain't good enough. Okay, but who? Who, Corey? Who didn't Brad Holmes go get that is going to cost us a Super Bowl? So if the Rams win it all, then I'm right, because they didn't make a move. The Rams are on this list. The Rams did not make a move at the trade deadline. So this year, the Rams, if they win it all, they didn't make a move. And they're using the Brad Holmes method by not making a move. Okay. So, see, this right here is an oxymoron. The Rams will win it all. Brad likes mediocrity. Well, right now, the Rams are doing what Brad's doing. They stood pat. They stood pat. Oh, but wait, broski. Steve, how's that Parsons trade working? Seems like a hit to me. Is it? Are they going to win the Super Bowl, broski? It's the Lion Villain Report, where Broski, the Bear fan, has predicted that the Green Bay Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. Now, Broski has become a Green Bay Packer fan because they traded 2 first-round picks and got their guy. So the Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. Okay. There you go. Tyler says that the way the team is being built, we can't just do boneheaded deals at the trade deadline. Last year, the secondary fell apart. Brad fixed it. The next draft, don't expect some crazy flashy player. It'll be a left tackle or a center being drafted. Have to do this right at cost-wise. Central Scrutinizer says that the Lions reward their own first. It's called team unity, not inbreeding. Okay. See, I love the cop-outs where it's like, because the see, I just proved you wrong that making moves doesn't win you Super Bowls. I just proved you wrong. But yet, we're still trying to quantify trading big moves at the trade deadline as a way to win Super Bowls or going all in. So if you don't agree with me, then you must not want to win Super Bowls. You know, when you're playing poker, if you don't ask for extra cards and you're good with the hand that you have, that's still a move. And I don't know if it's the right mover yet. I'm not gonna sit up here and say Brad is doing the right thing. What I'm saying is I'm willing to let the hand play out before I start making, asinine comments like he failed us. Like, when you build a team and you want to keep the core of your team, and he said this from the beginning, by the way, we want to find a core foundation of team. And in order to find a core foundation of team, that takes 5 years, because you need to draft those core players and you need to re-sign those core players. So you got 2021, 2022, and 2023. And you got some players that were on those draft classes that you've developed that you want to keep around. So as this next offseason comes around, he will have put the first foundation into place of his 2021 plan, which is take the first 3 draft years and we're going to try to keep as many of the good players as we can, and then you build from there on out. So his first foundation has not been laid yet. And them making trades at the trade deadline messes with that foundation, especially within the first 5 years of building a team from the bones. So I'm not saying whether he's doing it right or wrong yet. I'm just saying that you got to let it play out. Because if you're counting 21 and 22 as the years when there was nothing here, there was nothing in the cupboard, then that's just silly. So Brad Holmes has not failed yet. Brad Holmes took the narrative from you can't even win a playoff game in 30 years. You never win the division. And now the goalpost has been moved all the way to the Super Bowl. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing that we're talking about the Super Bowl as being the only thing that matters yet. So I'm offering that out there. I've looked all the way through these comments, and out of all the bitching that I've seen in there, which is mostly by Broski and everybody attacking Broski, but I haven't seen one player in there. Broski thinks that we failed because we didn't go get Quinnen Williams. And at least that's a name. At least he threw a name in there. But that also means that he thinks that the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. Because that's what you do, right? When you go to win a Super Bowl. So the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl now. Or the Green Bay Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. Because they went all in. They traded away their future, and that's what you do when you go win a Super Bowl. You have to go all in and say F them picks. And then you win the Super Bowl. So who's that going to work out for? Is that going to work out for Steve? Is that going to work out for, are they going to win the Super Bowl now? Broski and Steve are on the same team now. You got some Packer fans up in here. Yeah, you should have went all in. But I'm just offering the other side of it. Is Detroit still a contender without a trade? Let's get your comments in there. I think that Detroit's still a contender. I think they didn't make a trade because they got guys coming back. Josh Pascal's coming back. DJ Reed's coming back. Kirby Joseph is coming back. Malcolm Rodriguez is coming back. And that means that the guys that have been filling in are probably going to get bounced down to the practice squad. When those guys come in, got to make roster moves. But I didn't see anything in the trade deadline moves that I think was a realistic trade. I don't think we should have went and spent 2 ones on Sauce Gardner. I don't agree with the Quinnen Williams. trade. I don't think that that's going to make a big difference for the Cowboys. I mean, they essentially just took a really talented guy on the edge and traded him for a really talented guy in the middle. Nothing wrong with Quinnen Williams. I think he's a great player. If the Lions would have traded for Quinnen Williams, I wouldn't be upset. I would definitely be calling it an all-in move like what Broski's talking about. You know, you're trading the future. You're going all in for this year. You're opening your window wide open for a now, and you're closing the window later. But I think that most Lion fans would do that. Like, if it works and you get a Super Bowl and then you go 6-10 or 6-11 the next year, I think any Lion fan would take that trade. We've dealt with 6-11 before. So I'm not saying you're wrong or you're right. I'm saying I don't know yet. I'm saying you got to let Brad Holmes play his hand out first. And when you build a franchise from nothing, you got to rebuild. You got to put your foundation back in. And they're not done building that foundation yet. And Brad Holmes does not believe in building foundations from guys outside of the organization. You build your foundation from inside, and then you supplement with trades. And we'll see whether that works or not. It's worked to take the Lions from a nothing, nobody contender. They never make the playoffs, hardly ever, even with Stafford here, to never making the playoffs, never winning a division. First round playoff losses, to winning playoff games, winning 2 division titles in a row. So you can argue with me and say it doesn't work because he didn't win the Super Bowl. But I can say that it worked because we were a loser franchise that weren't talking about any playoff games. And you got to let him finish. You got to let him finish the job. And after that, 2023 draft class gets signed and extended. Whichever players are going to keep from that 2023 draft class, that's going to be the foundation. Whatever they keep from that. In my opinion. But maybe y'all feel like Chris Jericho here.
Okay, Brad, this is what we're doing now. The Colts and Cowboys are out there building the Avengers, and you want to collect bargain bin Pokemon cards? You want to sign some guy nobody's ever heard of off a practice squad? That's your big move, huh? Do you know what happens when the entire fan base is sitting around refreshing their phones like it's Black Friday, waiting for anything from you? Huh, Bradley? Do ya? Do you know what happens when you let the moment pass? When you let the league party without you and you sign a player whose Madden rating is NA? Bradley Holmes!
You just made the list!
Wow. Yeah. You know, Jericho's not happy. Are you on Jericho's side? Or are you on the side of the villain? I mean, that's where we're at today, right? You're either with baby Jericho or you're with the villain and you still believe in this team to win the Super Bowl this year. Let's see where we got everybody. Mark G says what the Lions should possibly do is trade up in the first round and get a starting offensive lineman. Now that I could get behind. Mark Orlando says, by the way, thoughts and prayers from my wife are greatly appreciated. Just got her home from the hospital after respiratory failure last Thursday. Well, God bless you, Mark. It's faith, family, then football on here. And what I like to do in these types of moments where I'm going to get into the prayer, because I know that not everybody believes in prayer, and I'm not going to push religion down people's throats. But what I do encourage people to do is to throw thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Prayers are thoughts. And whether you believe in God or whether you don't believe in God, I'm going to tell you that I believe that thoughts matter. And whether you believe in God or not, I think there's an energy out there, because you don't have to think about Mark's wife and that she's going to be totally healed and that she's going to completely recover and everything is going to be right as rain when it's all said and done. You don't have to think that thought, but if you do, it has power. And I believe that God honors the power of that thought. I believe that. You don't have to believe that, but you can, even if you don't believe into it, put a thought onto Mark Orlando's wife in the name of Jesus, that she would be healed in the name of Jesus. Amen. And that's what you got to do. And I believe God will honor your thought. I believe that. I believe that. So God bless you, Mark. That's what's important on this show. That's the most important thing that's been said on this show today. God bless you. And see the support in here. This is why I love coming in here on a daily basis. All kidding aside, with Broski and Broski wouldn't come in here if he didn't feel this way too. He believes that we're all a football family right here. I don't care what team you follow, Broski. I don't care if you want to troll me. I don't actually get mad when it comes to this. I don't actually get worked up. It's part of the shtick here. And I appreciate you playing along, Broski. But that's what's important right there, is that we support each other and that we lift each other up when bad things happen. And then we get that quick reminder of what's really important. And that's faith, family, and then football, in that order. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys being in here and being like that. And I have a crew of people that come in here that understand that. And I love you guys for it. I really do. It's awesome. Oh, man. Well, getting back into it. I mean, I can move off of Bradley Holmes and I can get back into the villain's advocate. And in the villain's advocate, the blame from Sunday's game, I've noticed. I read around. What I try to do is I go around and I see where I feel and how people feel. And most people are blaming John Morton for this loss in the play calling. And a lot of people somehow are blaming Jared Goff. There is blame out there on the offensive line, but the two main ones are Jared Goff and John Morton. And I want to present you with the other side of that, which is to me, what I saw was the special teams letting us down. And I brought some information over here when it comes to watching it and the play-by-play, all of the drives. And it started out And it's the special teams, guys. The special teams. So the Lions go straight down in the first quarter and score a touchdown. And then on the kickoff, the Jake Bates kicks 62 yards from the Lions 35 to the Minnesota 3, and Price returns it 61 yards. Had to be tackled by Jake Bates. So they got to start their first touchdown drive in Lions territory. And the offense didn't play great. All I'm doing is try to put this in an order. If I'm going to blame something at first, it's the special teams. And after you get a touchdown, and then in the third quarter, you had a fumble that started the Minnesota Vikings in Lions territory again, which turned into a touchdown 6 plays later. In the first quarter, like I said, they returned the ball out into Lions territory. 7 plays, 36 yards later, they're in the end zone. That's a short field given to them by the special teams. And in the third quarter, like I said, you fumbled the ball, and 3 plays or 6 plays, 35 yards later, they score a touchdown. And then in the fourth quarter, you force them to punt when you're down 24-17. And you try to kick a field goal to kick it within 4. You get the field goal blocked, in which they go 8 plays, 33 yards, and then they kick a field goal. So, to me, the number one thing, you can agree with me or not, it doesn't matter because we lost. But I put more of this on special teams. That's 6, 13. That's 17 points in the game. Because you gave J.J. McCarthy a short field. You got to clean up the special teams. Now, all of the other stuff, I'll criticize John Morton's or his offense, but it's just further down the list than you're making it. And Goff is like the last person that I would criticize. The guy had 110 quarterback rating, completed 70% of his passes. What do you want the guy to do? Offensive line was giving up pressures like Oprah was giving them out. You can have a pressure. Everybody can have a pressure. It's on the O-line. It's on Hank Fraley. Get that O-line together because you got the good skill positions. It doesn't even matter how good your skill positions are if you don't get that O-line together. And before you say that you should have traded for an O-lineman, no O-linemen were available. Nobody was trading O-linemen. It didn't happen. That's a myth. Nobody was getting O-linemen because when people have good O-linemen, they don't trade them. That's what happens. So, to me, David Phipp, you got to do a better job on special teams. This isn't the first time either. Special teams hasn't been good on a couple of them. So, that's my take on it. I mean, if you want to put it on John Morton, that's fine. You can be in there good with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho put him on the list too.
Oh, Johnny boy, you want to dial up those stupid screenplays, huh? You want to do that silly little dink and dunk crap that goes nowhere? Well, do ya? Huh? You think Lion fans gonna sit here and watch another 3-yard disaster on 3rd and 8? You know what I think about that, John? You know what happens when you waste Jahmyr Gibbs' talent? When you take the ball out of Amon-Ra's hands? When you turn Ford Field into a stream pass convention? Do ya?
John Morton, you just made the list.
There you go. John Morton made the list too. And just so you know, broski, that right there, that proves that I'm better at trash talking my own team than you are. I just use Chris Jericho to do that. But there you go. That's going to be kind of like my theme from week to week on winning or losing. I love my baby characters that can come in here and give you the other side of this talking point. I think it's a fun way to do it. Chris Jericho,
You just made the list.
it's okay. You can put me on the list all you want. Baby Chris gets frustrated, okay? And I understand that. If you're on Chris's side. You know, we all want to win a Super Bowl. We all want to win a Super Bowl. Who's doing the right thing? Who's doing the wrong thing? We don't know. We're not going to know till February. But all I know is that if every team goes all in and trades a bunch of their stuff, that's going to fail more times than it's not. Obviously, it has to. It has to. It has to fail for most teams because only one team can win the Super Bowl. So you can't convince me that going all in and spending your future is the way to win the Super Bowl. Being super aggressive. Because it doesn't work more than it does work. And if you tell me one more time in here that it worked with Stafford, I will remind you again, that was 2021. You know, and then it doesn't help that the team that won the Super Bowl last year is really, really aggressive. So you got recency bias when it comes with that. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles have been proven to be very, 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 very aggressive. And it remains to be seen whether they're going to come off of that perch or not. But if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's a failure. That means that you went all in and it failed. You want to say that the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl? Well, he stood pat. The Rams stood pat. They didn't do anything at the trade deadline. They didn't make any big moves. So if they win the Super Bowl, I'm right. You can't drub up some trade from 5 years ago and be like, well, they traded 5 years ago, and that's why they won this year. Being super aggressive doesn't pay off more often than it does. And then you're left without it. So which one of these super aggressive teams is going to win the Super Bowl? The Colts were really aggressive. The Cowboys were really aggressive. And the Packers were really aggressive. Are one of those three teams going to win the Super Bowl? And prove me wrong? And shut me up? And it's not even really proving me wrong. I'm not even on the side of I know if Brad Holmes standing pat is going to work. I won't know until February. I believe in the method. I believe in building the franchise and getting your foundation set before you start, throwing all your draft picks away. I mean, that's the biggest difference between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Lions right now. Is they had their whole foundation set with all their guys that they wanted before they started getting crazy with their draft picks. You get crazy with your draft picks when you got all the players in the spots that you want. The Lions want to keep Jack Campbell around. They want to keep Brian Branch around. They want to keep Sam Laporta here long term. And Malcolm Rodriguez here long term. Jahmyr Gibbs here long term. And like Dan Campbell said, it's like, we're going to pay these guys until we run out of money. And Broski can call us inbred all he wants. I don't care. If you're paying your own guys, it just means that you believe in your own guys over anybody else that's out there. Because I'll tell you right now, I'd rather have Jack Campbell over Jalen Phillips. I'm not saying Jalen Phillips is not a good player, but I think Jack Campbell's a great player. I mean, maybe Brian Branch is playing his way off of the team because he keeps on, getting personal foul penalties and all that. Maybe that's one of the deterrents, and maybe he'll be the expendable guy. But I don't see that. I think they love the players that they've developed. And if you can't see that, because I know that half of the NFL would be lining up if the Lions said, yeah, we want to trade Jack Campbell. You know how many trade offers that they would get? They'd get a first-round pick. They'd get and probably a day 2 pick. If they try to sell off these guys, they'd get a Lions ransom too, if they decided. So, don't let recency bias skew you, because I know how Lion fans like to get after a loss. The sky's falling. Well, that just happened to be a loss on the week of the trade deadline, so this all compounds. The sky is falling. Well, you obviously don't want to win the Super Bowl. What is that? What the hell does that mean? Because I like Jack Campbell. Because I like Brian Branch and Laporta, I don't want to win the Super Bowl? Okay. If you want to side with Jericho, that's fine. That's fine. Brad Holmes didn't make any moves. That's fine. But sometimes Lion fans, when all they do is they look for a reason to complain and then just bitch about it, they end up sounding like this guy.
Yes, the Detroit Lions. Truly the living embodiment of wasted potential. Worst coaching ever. Clearly, offensive coordinator John Morton has chosen to ignore my superior strategic counsel, which, I might add, I posted in excruciating detail on the 313 Villain Squad Facebook page 3 days ago. And as for Jared Goff, subpar would be a compliment. He is obviously inferior to Matt Stafford. He is schematically flawed in nearly every conceivable dimension. And the play calling had the creativity of a reboot nobody asked for. Honestly, everyone should be fired immediately. Start over, hire me, and maybe, just maybe, this franchise would stop embarrassing my Sundays. Worst game ever.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's what a lot of Lion fans end up sounding like when it's just, gosh, man. And I just try to show you the villain's advocate. Got to show you the other side of it, because it is what it is. Hey, Broski, how dare you get in my comments and start talking to anybody scared to answer questions? You were scared to answer my question for the entire show. You haven't answered it yet. I mean, you're going to try to tell me that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl because Quinnen Williams? Because they made the plays? Going to go after dumb Brad Holmes in here. Nobody's scared to talk to you. It's like it's hard to argue with nonsense when you're just bringing up nonsense. I asked you at the beginning, what moves were out there to be made that the Lions could have made, and you can't answer me. Unless you're going to die on that hill that the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl because they traded for Quinnen Williams. Or the Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. It worked out good for the Packers. Well, they didn't win a Super Bowl. The Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. They made a big move. The Colts going to win the Super Bowl. They made a big move. So, I mean, just because you like making the big move looks sexy out there. It does. Oh, look what they did. Is that going to work? I mean, call your shot right now, because I'm not going to allow you just to say it didn't work because a team won a Super Bowl. They just won a Super Bowl. What about all the teams that didn't win Super Bowls? So you got to make your call right now. Which one of these moves was the right move to go all in? Because one of these teams better win the Super Bowl, broski. The Cowboys, the Packers, or the Colts. If they don't win the Super Bowl, then you're just wrong. You're wrong. I mean, I get to get put on the wrong hill just because the Lions don't win the Super Bowl with a move. That means that his moves were a complete failure just because I wasn't one of 32 teams. So I'm giving you a hill to die on, broski. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you on a silver platter. Which one of those three teams is going to win the Super Bowl? Making a big move at the trade deadline. I mean, well, you can put Philadelphia back in there. Are the Philadelphia Eagles going to repeat because they got Jalen Phillips? The Packers are going to win because they went all in and got Micah Parsons? The Indianapolis Colts, are they going to go all in and they're going to win the Super Bowl? Or the Dallas Cowboys? You get one of those four teams. That's how you prove that you're right. You know, making a couple inbred comments and blah, 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 that doesn't prove anything because you haven't provided any information that's going to allow you to be right. So far, it's just been complaining. You're only adding the complaints in there. You're not offering the solution. And I'll give you those four. I'll give you those four teams because they are the ones that went supposedly all in. Does that work? So, good conversation today. You know, I know a lot of people don't like to have these conversations. The bad guy came in and called me out. But the funny thing is right from the get-go, you got these comments in here. Holy crap, you guys did a good job on comments today. He says, yay, the trade deadline is over. We can stop talking about it. And then immediately asks a question. Like, here's a bad guy right here. Yay, the trade deadline's over. We can't stop talking about it. We can stop talking about it. The very next comment, 1 minute later, asks a question about the trade deadline. So, with that being said, all of these topics, the ones that get you all emotional, keep on getting the blood boiling here a little bit. You see? Here you go. There you go. Keep sitting on the sidelines, Brad Holmes. Keep inbreeding going while other teams win it all. Brad Holmes back. Got to do the difference. Still haven't offered me. It's so easy to destroy Broski on here. Doesn't even know he's getting destroyed. That's how dumb his takes are. He can't answer the simple question. Which one of the teams, Broski, is going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Because I just showed you right there. All of these teams sat on the sidelines, Broski. All these teams sat on the sideline. Broski, I'm not scared to have you on here. You haven't said anything intelligent enough to be on my show. I ain't scared to have you on here. I've had you on here. I'm not going to sit there and look at your paw print for an hour. I run a professional show here. I don't let people that come on talk nonsense come on to my show. Why would I let you call in? You haven't given me anything to want to talk about. I've asked you a question for an hour that you can't answer. If you think that the way that you get on my show is just by throwing meaningless insults without providing any kind of proof or any hill that you're trying to stand on, I can't argue with somebody that won't stand on a hill. All you're doing is heaving insults. Why would I let you on my show? That's hilarious. You can't answer a simple question. Which one of those teams is going to win the Super Bowl? 4 teams went all in. Packers, Cowboys, the Colts, or the Eagles. I don't have blind faith. I didn't say I had blind faith. I said I'm willing to let it play out. I'm willing to let it play out. I don't have blind faith. It's not blind faith. It's having faith. I've had faith since the 2022 draft. And it takes 3 years. You have to be able to sign the foundation of your team before you can make a decision. You have to let the hand play out. I've said that a million times on here. I don't know how many more times I got to say it. Say, okay, if you want to say I have blind faith, even if I give you that, even if I tell you that I have blind faith, you don't have anything. You have nothing. I've disproven you wrong just by sheer numbers. 3 of these teams aren't going to win the Super Bowl, broski. Let that sink into your head. 3 teams that went all in are not going to win the Super Bowl. That's a guarantee. Guarantee that they won't win the Super Bowl. I've already proven your point wrong. It's done. I don't even have to play. We don't even have to finish the conversation. It's over. So what I've asked from you is to give me the 1 out of 4 teams. Which one of those 4 teams is going to win the Super Bowl by going all in? I'll give you one more chance to make a comment, to make a stand. If you want to argue with the villain, you have to give me something to argue with. I've already proven you wrong. It's already over for you. It's already over. I got 4 teams that went all in. Which one of them are going to win the Super Bowl? Who do you got? Anybody brave enough to answer that question? Are you brave enough? That's what I thought. Anyway, this is the Lion Villain Report. My name is Russell Wayne. I have a man crush on Broski because he's the only one that's challenging me. I'll at least give him some props on that. He's challenging me. Oh, gosh. All right. I guess interacting with the people that are challenging me on an argument call is a man crush, I guess. Lex Luthor has spoken, the poor conservative says. Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. But that's okay. Provide me that type of stuff. I guess I'll let it go, broski. I tried to get you to answer a question. I guess you don't ever want to come on this show. Simple question. It's a simple question. I throw it out to everybody. Anybody that believes that Brad Holmes didn't make a move. Anybody. Which one of those big moves between the Green Bay Packers trading 2 first-round picks, Colts trading 2 first-round picks, Quinnen Williams 2 first-round picks, really, and a second-round pick, and I even throw in the Philadelphia Eagles. Are one of those 4 teams going to win the Super Bowl? Do you think one of those 4 teams, you're going to get the Cowboys? Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl? Is it going to be the Eagles? You get 4 teams, but tell me which one. Tell me which one. Mark, 3/4 of my show was arguing with Broski because he was the only one arguing with me. I'm sorry, Mark. But I have to argue with what's out here. And if everybody else is just arguing with him, which 3/4 of the show was the fan base, you guys arguing with Broski. So I gotta put out what's being put out there. And I thought that I called him out just fine. And Dale says, hey, let's all thank Broski for making us all feel smarter today. And I'll put a shout out to the show that Broski's on that they let him talk on. Which is the NFL, The Huddle. And that's probably where he's at right now. And there you go. And that's what I do. This is what I do, is I entertain. Thank you, everybody, for allowing the villain to entertain you today. I've had a lot of fun today, actually. It has been a lot of fun. And it's faith, family, and then football on this program. We use football on this program. We don't really get mad at each other. We just talk football. We use football. We don't let football use us. Use it to create memories. Don't let it change you when we lose. You can find me on all the platforms, right?
Ooh, yeah, the Macho Man, the 313 Villain Squad, yeah, the UDFA, yeah, of sports podcasting, yeah. Find them on YouTube, find them on Facebook and X. Macho Man gonna drop the elbow of knowledge on you and get the 1, 2, 3, yeah, dig it?
Don't get mad, Packers. I know that you wanted to troll me today, but you had to deal with your own butt-hurting loss. So sorry. Thank you for being part of the show today, brought to you by Fanatics. Gear up like the real one over there. Every click supports this channel, supports the page, and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger and better. We don't do fakes. We don't do knockoffs. We do official. We do Fanatics. Get yours. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen, guys. Thank you for being part of the show. I will see you in tomorrow's episode, Theory Thursday. We're going to have a special episode of Theory Thursday coming here tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.
Hey, yo, Panay, I've been watching you, Oos. You out there in them trenches, bulldozing grown men every Sunday like it's personal. I respect that, bro. But all this NFL nonsense, all this Lions grind, it's time to come home, big dog. It's time to bring the family back together. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief himself, he sees what you're doing, and he respects it. But he also knows what's missing, Panay. You. The bloodline ain't complete without you, Oos. You bring that power, that mauling spirit, that island pride. Imagine it. The Samoan wall reunited. Forget blocking edge rushers, bro. Let's start blocking out the whole world together. Leave this NFL crap and come back to the bloodline. Make everything right again. Do it for the family.